So we're live, right? Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so my side is still going buffering, but hello, everyone. All my friends on Facebook, all my friends on YouTube. How are you all doing today? And welcome to Ask the Nanny. I have two special guests with me today. And as you can tell by the laughter that when we went live, we're already at it. Okay, so am I live on your side?
Yeah, you're live.
Okay, because it says having trouble connecting. Please check your internet connection. Hold on, let me make sure that we are live on Facebook.
I think I just shared it. So
did you?
Told me that
Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay. I'm just going by what I'm reading on top.
Oh, I see it. Interesting. Okay.
Okay, so if you see it, keep your phone volume down because it will echo.
Yeah, it's on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 10 seconds behind real life. This is cool.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it is 10 seconds behind. And trust me, we don't have any bleep buttons. So the 10-second bleep, we don't have one of those. So
is this a clean show?
This is a clean show.
We
work with children.
But they're not always in the room. So.
But they are listening when you are not thinking they are. Trust me on that one.
Yeah.
That is all the time.
They will repeat everything you say, everything you do, and even when you don't want them to say it or do it, they'll be like,
exactly.
That's the best time to say it.
Story of my life right now.
Okay, life of a fantastic professional nanny. Hello, welcome. Hi, Janet. She says you're live. Oh my, thank you, Janet. Hi, Tasha. How are you? Okay, so we are live, and I can see some of the comments on here, but I can't see some of the comments from StreamYard. So, anyway, we're going to get started. I'm going to, as I share this to some of my groups, I'm going to let Kimberly and Mr. Chazz introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into some interesting conversation. Oh, and tell us one fun fact about yourself.
Oh, throwing in a fun fact in there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Chazz, you get to go first.
Okay, sure. I will go first. I am an educational specialist, works at a chain of early education centers, child development centers. I've worked with thousands of kids, thousands of families. Pretty much the short version of what I do in my job is I teach teachers to teach. I do so much more than that, but that's the short version. I have, since when COVID happened, since all the kids went home and a bunch of the teachers went home and the kids were now with their parents and the parents became a lot of the teachers, I dedicated my time, my energy, my efforts to help the parents with understanding child development and helping them understand their children and all the weird, crazy things that children do and helping them guide them and helping them grow them and work through a lot of the challenges that children tend to challenge us with. I have a coaching service. I do courses. I have a community. I am going to start a podcast. You guys don't even know about this. This is super new. I'm starting a podcast next Monday on this new app, somewhat new app called Get Vocal. And so it's like an interactive podcast. So you'll actually be able to log on and ask kind of questions and have this whole interactive thing, kind of like here. But it's a whole different platform. So I'll let you guys learn about that. That's pretty much what I do. I'm on TikTok. I have over 50,000 followers on TikTok. I think I'm probably edging up on the 4,000 followers on Instagram. My Instagram name is Mr. Chazz. That's Mr. Chazz with two Z's. I think you can see it right there. And then my TikTok name is Tick Teach Talk. TICK Teach Talk TOK. And that's kind of a little bit about me in a nutshell. Kimberly, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you.
Wow. How do you follow all of that?
I don't even know where to start.
You'll find a way.
It won't be even TikTok because we know I don't do TikTok. But hi everybody, I'm Kimberly Brown, also known as Nanny Kim on the Go. So some people know me by both, and I have been in the industry, childcare industry, for 25 years now, and I started off in daycare. Actually, yeah, I started off babysitting and then working as a nanny as soon as I got out of high school. Then I kind of backtracked and went into daycare. I worked for a Safe Haven, which for people that don't know, a Safe Haven is like if battered women have to go into the shelter or home, or if they're homeless and they have to go into a home and they can't take their children with them, they have places called a Safe Haven, and we would keep the kids there 24/7 until the parents could get themselves together and come and get the kids. So I worked there for a while, and then I went back into nanny work because it's what I love. So I have taken some detours along the way. So as Angela calls me, the jack of all trade, I'm also a licensed groomer and dog trainer.
And promoter and
yes, and I do promotion, I know. And then but then I also have a background in HR and administrative. So I love the kids. This is where I stay. So I ended up doing a lot of NCS work. I went to nanny school in Solon, Ohio, at Alexandria School for Nannies, which I absolutely loved. And what else? I am the director of family services for U.S. Nanny Association. So you see me there. I'll be there tomorrow hosting a webinar. So definitely log in tomorrow because that's going to be a good one. And
who's going to be with you?
Oh, I'm going to have Crystal Crawford, the nanny broker. Crystal is amazing. Crystal is, I always tell her, I'm like, no, we got to get that licensed social worker out of you, because she has some like gems, and she usually is known for branding. But she's coming on there tomorrow, and we're going to be tackling how to help kids with changes and, add-ons to the family. So we're going to deal with some really good stuff. A lot of people don't know I do some fostering. My mom has been in foster parent since I was 9. So I've had, teenagers living with us. I've done fostering for a difficult teenager that I love. And, I think we worked out pretty well. So
you're still alive.
I'm still alive. I made it, y'all.
That's one indicator.
Like I've had some nanny kids that are teenagers, and I'm the one that I said the other day, I'm the one that the agencies that I've dealt with, they would call me when they have the difficult cases that they can't send anybody else. I'm that person. So the range is like all over the place. But then Nanny Kim on the Go is a parent consultant agency. So I do a lot of parent consultant work, and, try and help people with whatever problems they're having. Also with whatever, when they're trying to hire. A lot of people don't like to use agencies to hire. They want to do it themselves. So I'm the do-it-yourself person. When you don't want to do the agency, and you think you know what you're doing, but you don't really know what a nanny is, and you don't really know what you're asking for, I'm usually the one that they call and they'll say, well, I have this interview, but I don't really know what to ask them. Can you sit on a three-way with us and do the interview with us? Like, sure, for a fee. No. so,
As Shada would
um,
say, run me my money.
run me my money. Shada always run me
I
my
love
money.
her. I,
Too
well, I
funny.
will definitely be there tomorrow night because I have a blended family. So I know adding kids to other kids and how and then the kids get together, they hate each other, then they get together and they plot to pull you apart.
All the time. All the time.
It's
I
like
used to, I was like the worst. I was the worst big foster sister ever. I had to repent, go back, apologize. I'm
You
not
have
gonna
an
lie.
inside.
I'm an adult now, so I can tell the truth. I was horrible. I was like
Yeah.
always, why you bring that baby here? Why you bring that? If they were babies, I loved them, but if they were older and getting me in trouble, and I was just like, why? But I wouldn't change it for the world. It helped make me who I am.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I love that, I get to still talk to people and, do all the stuff that is great about fostering and stuff. So we'll definitely be talking about how to adjust. So check in with us tomorrow, US Nanny Association, and we will be on at I think it's 8 o'clock
8,
Eastern
8
Standard,
p.m. Eastern
8
Standard
p.m.
Time.
Angela knows
Hmm.
more because
On the
she usually
U.S.
hosts.
Nanny Association page.
Right, because she usually hosts all the time. So we'll be doing that. And then also, I have the Nanny Sitter Education Fund, which we just did our soft launch, and I'm the
Yay!
president
Last week
for
or 2 weeks
there.
ago with me.
Yeah. So I get to give a shout out to my team. Hey, team, if you're
Say,
watching and if you want to donate, NSE.fund, FUND. Please donate because we are launching this is our Kickstarter right now. In January, we'll be launching application time where people can go on there and pretty much do their application. And we're going to try and get some people that are in childcare some more education. If they want to go to school and they can't get the funding or they don't have the money and funds to do it. So we want sponsors. We want people that'll say, hey, I'll sponsor a student to go to class or something. Because why should we not? We have a great big job, with our kids and taking care of them, and we want to be as educated as possible. So
exactly. And
that's the
every
run.
other industry goes to school, so why not us?
Why not us?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And don't let January, New Year's resolutions. You want to go back to school? Hello, here we
Hello.
go.
Mhm.
Hello.
That's
Okay,
a really
where are you? Where are
yeah,
you on my?
opposite I found.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that way. This
It's
thing is
everything.
mirrored, and I have problems.
It's down. I'm but yeah, on my screen, I'm underneath you and Chazz.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sure it
right there.
See,
is.
There you
see,
go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
There you go.
let me just point straight down. She on the bottom.
exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so now we have some comments from our already Kareem J.
Hold on. Wait a second.
A. Jackson said, so wonderful. Danielle
Oh,
Sadler says,
hey.
huh?
I was saying, hey, Kareem is my friend in the Philippines. He's
What
on
happened?
with us. Can you hear me?
Hey, Kareem. How you doing? I've heard so much about you, Kareem. Yes, yes. I
You
got your
know,
girl right here.
we never did our interesting facts. I just realized.
Oh,
Oh,
give
okay.
me
Well, do your
interesting
interesting
facts.
facts and then I'll go back to the comments. Your
Yeah.
interesting fact is
I'm gonna do this is whenever we do interesting facts, this is the one that I choose.
okay.
My interesting fact is that I've jumped out of a plane before.
Oh,
That's my interesting fact.
Well, you have that because I'm scared of heights, and you can have that. I will die on the way down from the heart attack because my brain will like, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, yes, you can have that. Thank
It
you.
wasn't exactly
I
my
love that you did
choice.
that.
It wasn't exactly my choice at the time. I was
Oh,
I was actually I was with my girlfriend and we were going to it was our anniversary and she said she had a surprise, but I was gonna drive. I'm driving, I'm thinking it's like we're going to dinner or something like that. I was like, ooh, maybe we're going to something fancy. This place is kind of fun. Let's see where it's at. I just see trees, and then I pass a sign that says DC skydiving. I'm like, what?
Ooh, so
And,
fun. I
and,
like
and,
her
and
already.
well, see, my girlfriend's more. She I would think she'd be more scared of that than me. Like spiders freak her out. So like I'm like, no way. So then we pull up, we go to the place, and when you start doing skydiving, you have to fill out 100,000 forms,
of
and
course.
pretty much every form says you're jumping out of a plane. If you die, you like that's you're
That's
not
it.
like
That's
jumping
not
out of
right.
a plane. So just be realistic that like you can't sue us, your mom can't sue us, your girlfriend, your dog, your grandpa, like, and then they have videos playing constantly, pretty much saying the same thing. And then
That's right.
yeah, it was I started to freak out a little bit. I calmed myself down, then she started to freak out. She calmed down, and then we somehow got on the plane, and I was the first one who had to jump. And I tell you, the scariest moment of probably my life is that moment when like your legs are dangling out of the airplane, and all you see is just like the top of clouds. And you're just thinking, wow, like humans are not supposed to, like, I'm doing something. I should have listened to those commercials and the forms. And they just like 1, 2, and I think it kind of pushed me a little bit.
You think he pushed you?
Yeah, that's
Me a little bit. Like I was trying to go, but I was like, I can't, but I wanna. It's like, you ever seen like a kid, when they're about to like
oh my God.
do something new, or something like new for the first time, and they're like, I kind of want to do it, but I like that was me. And so he just kind of gave me like I was like a little nudge, a little push, and there's like there's like 3 seconds of like, oh my goodness, and then it's like, wow, this is so beautiful. Whoa. And it was a really good experience. And especially when they pull the parachute and you can kind of glide, like it was a really good experience. And I wouldn't change it for the world, but I don't know if I would do it again. So that's what
That's so cool.
If I had seen the sign, I've been gone. I'm like, skirt, you turn around here.
I don't know if I would have been able to do that, but I keep saying that I want to go. That's like so
they have these skydiving places in Dallas where you can go up in there and just they put you in this wind room and you go up. My son and his kids have done it. I was like, y'all can have that. Gravity. I am scared of heights. Okay.
Yeah. No,
I walk against the wall, going up the stairs to somebody's house. The railing part over here, I'm all the way over here against the wall, hugging the wall. And if it's one of those steep stairs and it has scared me and taken my breath on the way up, I'm like, okay, so you're gonna have to lean. I'm leaning against the wall, walking down the hallway. Please don't make me go back over there. That's how scared I am. Miss Kimberly, what is your fun fact?
Oh my gosh, I don't know how to follow that one. My fun fact. I just had something in my head and now I can't think because I was too busy. I'm tearing up over here. Fun facts. I haven't done that, but I have done like scuba diving. And when we did scuba diving, and I also did snorkeling when I went to Cancun, Mexico. They have those underground like tunnels, the caves. So we've done that. That was like amazing. I think that was one of the best when I did that one. I'll say that was like a fun fact. So
Cool.
Yeah, I got a cave. That sounds really cool. I
yeah,
gotta do that.
it's an underground cave, and like if you have you have your goggles and everything on, and you can see like they're literally like all these fish underneath, and because of the rocks, some of them are like translucent, and so they like
Wow.
have this like nice color, and you can see them all swimming, and so they put you like they'll tell you it's a path that you go through and you just swim. You gotta know how to swim because there's literally you can't touch the bottom. So you got to know how to swim. So when we went, my cousin and I went, and she couldn't swim. So I was like, "Well, we have to do this. Like we're in Mexico." So I put her in the pool and taught her how to swim the night before. And then the next day, she was brave. She learned how to swim that night, and then the next day, we got in a boat and they took us out to the middle of nowhere, and then we did coral reef, and so we did the snorkeling around the coral reefs, and then the day after that we went and did the caves, so it was really nice.
I mean, for your cousin, you said that's your cousin.
Yeah.
That's scarier than jumping out of a plane, going scuba diving and not being able to swim in a cave with other creatures. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
At least we were the only two people in the air, and I had someone strapped to me who knew what they were doing.
I mean, she had me. I could swim really well to save her, but
okay, you can swim really well to save her, but when you are trying to save someone who is panicked, they will drown you. That's why I'm like,
no.
Take off her oxygen.
Knock him out. Then you can take
He's like, okay, now I can save you. Now that you're unconscious, let's go.
No, she did really well. We had fun. That was that was like one of the good trips that I've had. I'm like, now my eyes are all teary and I have
that's why I have my little tissue right here. Okay, so let's see who Mr. Danielle Sadler says Mr. Chazz has the best TikTok.
Oh, hey, Danielle Sadler.
Yes.
Yeah. That's Danielle. Yeah. Hi, Danielle.
And Susie Nanny said, I can't believe it. My favorite friends in the same room. Love you guys. I follow Mr. Chazz on every social media.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. And Danielle Sadler said, love this panel of amazing speakers. And let's see who else. Susie says, yes, donate the NSE fund /donate. Danielle Sadler says, I love the NSE fund and their incredible mission. And Kimberly says, thank you. And Kareem says, hey, y'all. We see you from the Philippines. And the Yayas here need your nanny training. Okay, I'm assuming they're talking to you. He's talking to Kimberly.
Yayas are what they call nannies.
Okay.
There.
Okay, cool. And Danielle says, Mr. Chazz and his girl are brave and bold. I'd be way too scared. I'm with you, Danielle. I hear you. Okay, see, me and you on the same. We like this. We're on the same page. I promise you. No. You ain't getting me up there. Like I said, I'll be dying going up. I can't. That's another story for another day. Danielle Sadler says, I love Angela so much. I'm the same about height. See, I told you we're right there. I told you. Okay. And Kareem says, we set you up. And you guys are also live on NannyKimOnTheGo.com. All right. All right. Okay, so now we need to get down to the serious subject. So
Let's do it. Let's talk. The world is watching.
Okay, the world is watching. All right. So tell me, how did you two find each other?
Look,
He's pointing right there, right here. Okay, okay,
So
there we go, right there.
we
Kim.
had like one of my friends who I love to death. We have been friends since I don't know, over 20 something years, since I was a kid. Let's put it that way. Since I was a kid. So she texted me one day and sent me all of these like little clips from TikTok. And I'm like, what is she sending me? Why is this woman talking? And who is this guy? And it was a clip of, I'll tell you which one it was, Chazz. It was the one where you were sitting and you had a double screen, and it was a woman was talking about her time in closet that she made for her daughter. And she had got the idea from you, I guess. And so you were posting it or something like that. Yeah. So I didn't see the whole video because I'm not on TikTok. So when you send somebody a TikTok, it only shows you like 10 seconds, and then you have to go on there and see the rest. And I'm like, I'm not downloading TikTok to see who this is. Like, what is this talking? So I'm like, TikTok is for kids. I don't do TikTok. I don't want nothing else. So I'm literally having a fit about her sending me this TikTok. So, and while I'm having this fit, she's still sending me videos. So she's like, no, this one is better. Watch this one. And I'm like, they're only showing me 10 seconds. I know she doesn't think that I can see anything in 10 seconds. So I'm just like, all I see is a guy jumping around and a whole bunch of words, and I'm trying to catch up. Like, I was having an old person moment. I'm like, this is just not for me. If this is what they do on TikTok, but then I listened to it again, and I started hearing some of the stuff that he was saying or reading some of the stuff. So I'm like, okay, we may have something here. I was like, what's his Instagram handle? And she was like, I don't know. I said, well, you follow the man, ask him. So she's like, I'm not asking, this is our whole conversation. She's like, I'm not asking him. I don't know him. And so I saw that he had like 50,000 followers, that he had like 10,000 likes. I said, so he must have an Instagram. So she ended up, like a couple of minutes later, she sends me the Instagram handle, and I go in there and I see the videos, extended version. So I was like, okay, let me check this out. So I started looking through them. And then I went all the way to the beginning. And then I looked at how many people he had following him. And I'm like, this is how does he have 50,000 people on TikTok and like barely, I think it was under 500.
Probably. Yeah.
It was like 4 something on Instagram. And I was like, there's no way. Like, he's too good. We got to get him out here. Like, so I inboxed him immediately. Like, before I talked to my friend and told her, she was like, you inboxed him? I said, yeah. I was like, why not? Mm-hmm. So I asked him, I told him, I said, I'm thinking about going on Instagram Live. And, I don't know if I'm going to do like a show or something. I said, but my friend Angela keeps pushing me to do something. And I said, maybe you can.
Like that show you got from the guy. Like that show you got. Okay, finger. Like that show you got from the guy. Off the plane. I literally I'm like, come on, Kim, you got it in you. Come on, Kim. And she's like, well, I don't know if you go on with me. I said, you can do it by yourself. You can do this. And she's like, oh, no. And then as she's looking at your videos, she's sending them to me and Patsy. And literally, when you start, she sent us a full version, and my eyes just went. I said, hold on. I had to close my eyes. I said, let me listen to it first. Because she said I was tired at the time, and because of my eye injury, stuff that's just going all over, it does something to my brain. And when I saw you, I was like, "Who is? Oh my, I can't take it. I can't take it." So she said, "He's good." I said, "I'm gonna have to trust you on that one." And she said, "Listen to him. Listen to." So it was like, "Listen, Linda, listen." And I was like, "Okay." So I closed my eyes and I started. I said, well, dang, I need him on my show. I like it. And then I had to adjust the next morning. I will admit, the next morning after I got some rest, I was able to watch you. But at that time, it was like, 12 o'clock at night. And my eye was like, I was like this. Because this eye gets light sensitive to the light. So I'm like, okay. I can't watch him hopping around like this because it was like in your face, out of your face, in your face. And I was like,
He
so,
does.
and
He
I
does
know
all the
that that
time.
catches people's attention, but at that time I was like, you are repelling me right now.
Yeah,
So I
that
went back and then I started watching them because she was watching them. She said, and then she said, he's gonna do a show with me. I said, say what?
is.
I was like a proud mama. Like, finally. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Continue your story.
no. I mean, because you were a part of the story, but that's
Yeah.
how it
Wow.
literally happened.
And it's
So,
my first time hearing
yeah,
the
the
whole
whole thing.
story
Yeah,
from the different
I
schools.
inboxed when I inboxed Chazz. I pretty much introduced myself, and I'm like, I know he doesn't know me because most of the people that he had were like parents. There was, when I looked on his Instagram, nobody that I knew was friends with him. So I'm like, no one knows about him, not in our industry. And
Mhm.
but the thing about it that I loved is that so many things that Chazz talks about are things that we in the nanny industry and in childcare should be using and should know, and which was great.
Exactly.
And so, I introduced him, I told him who I was. I was like, you can, go look on my page and see who I am. Go check out my website. And I was like, this is what I would like to do. And I said, we're both parent consultants. You come from Montessori background in childcare, and I come from a background that is more nanny care and childcare related as well. And I said I think we could have a really cool show, and just I said I don't know if I wanted like a whole show, but at least do something once or twice.
Oh, you want a half one?
Like I literally said that. I'm like, I didn't go to him like I'm gonna do a podcast and you're gonna be on it, or I'm gonna do that. It was like, this will be my first time going live. I don't even know how to do it, but we're gonna figure it out. And he was like, I'm down. I'm cool. I'm game. I was like, you
Sounds
don't
like me.
even know me. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So that's pretty much what happened. And then from there, we kind of I'll let him, he's gonna jump in too. But from there, we kind of had a conversation. We set up a date to have a conversation. And I think the first time we talked, it probably was like a good 2-hour conversation. And I was like, okay, cool. Like he's cool people. Like we can work together. So
Yeah.
I felt like it was good. And
Yeah.
so, we did our live. It went really well. People were like ecstatic because other people were like, they had gone on his page by then after I started promoting. They went on his page, started liking him, and they were just like inboxing me like, where did you find him?
Yes, because I asked the same thing.
Yeah.
I was like,
Wow.
well, I mean, I would like to say I found him, but I really didn't. Someone, sent him to me. So yeah. So since then, I think we've just been, doing what comes natural, and it's just been really cool. So, Chazz,
Yeah.
what was your story about?
So I mean, and it kind of starts with, I don't have anyone else involved in the story. I loved hearing that from like both sides. And I guess from my side, it was like I kind of mentioned earlier, my whole goal was of getting on TikTok in the first place. I saw how, and I'd also like to address your comment earlier, Kim, on how TikTok is for kids. But I saw how so for me, I working, my normal 9 to 5, and the pandemic happens, COVID happens, you see a lot of people leaving the schools, a lot of the kids and the teachers, where the schools are pretty much schools where we normally have, over 100 kids, now have, 10, 15 kids. Right. And so you don't need as many people, aren't working full hours. We are, my job looked a lot different because we're not doing trainings and onboarding and hiring. And, I'm doing a lot more of just like managing the building and cleaning and, and XYZ. And there were a lot of events, like personal events that kind of happened that like pushed me to go. Like my grandparents actually got COVID, and they live in New York,
Oh,
and my grandfather unfortunately passed away. My grandmother is survived, and that really, on top of watching the news, which is a whole another thing, but
oh yes.
going on, like I felt like it really freaked me out, and it kind of felt the way that I felt at the time. You guys ever saw the Titanic, and you see the ship sinking, and when the ship is sinking, and the people who are playing the violinists, who are playing the violin, this is my, I'm gonna do it till the end, like, but like the ship is sinking, and they're like, there's like no regard for their own life, but they're like still doing their duty, right? That's kind of how I felt being in the schools, because I was afraid that I would give it to my mom or my dad, and so I opted to, I chose not to work. I chose not to work. Was like, my mission is to really enjoy the process, becoming the best version of themselves, and very specifically in helping young children and people who are growing and nurturing these young children on kind of better ways, so that not only, it's not even just for me about being effective, but it's also about the process, enjoying the process of being a parent or a teacher. And I really wanted to, I'm so big on that in the schools and the teachers that I teach. And like, I'm known for it. Like I'm in it's a pretty large company, and like people know me in the company, and I have a whole like saying, like I'm a person that people know. And that's because I work really hard to connect with the people that include the teachers, the directors, the children, the parents, probably not as much because I don't see as much of them in my day. I work at 9 different schools, so I'm seeing all the people inside the schools I see all the time. So they all left. I still, my mission was the same, to help these people, to help people who are growing young children. And so I saw like how, and I've been looking at TikTok for a while, but I didn't really know what I could, because to your credit, Kim, sing like you like, it's like, I just see dances on here. I don't quite like, there's some funny stuff on here, but I don't really see where I fit in on there. And like, how I can create content. I started to spend a little bit more time during the first couple of days of quarantine, and start to really see other kind of creators. That's the thing about TikTok. They'll show you certain content when you first get on, but once it learns what you like, it'll show you more of that content. And I started to see like, oh, wow, like there can be educational content on here that is enjoyable to watch, right? My mission to enjoy the process of growing. And, it can be really valuable. And so I started to make the TikToks, and it took me a while to figure out. And you probably saw like, and you saw like, I was trying to do a little bit like mesh, like, okay, there's dancing, but I can throw some information on there, and then people can learn and then be entertained by the dancing. And that very much evolved over time, as I really saw that people really wanted just to hear my unique voice and like what I had to say about, how to deal with power struggles, how to deal with challenging behaviors, how to understand my toddler when they're, coloring on the wall, and why they're doing that, and what can I do. So my content very much evolved. My following very much evolved on TikTok, and I was just focused on TikTok, was pretty much ignoring Instagram. And then at some point I was like, I should probably post some of this content on Instagram too, because even some of my friends were like, I want to share your stuff, but I don't have a TikTok, and I don't want to get a TikTok. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just share it on Instagram, and then that way you can share it. And so I started to share it, and then I started to gain I think when I started, I probably had like maybe between 100 and 200 followers. I started to gain a little bit more traction, like kind of like slowly. And I'm like, okay, it's picking up. And as it started to pick up, you had messaged me, and then like I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, oh wow, this Instagram thing is working out. People are finding me. That's awesome. And then you started to post things, and then like right around that time, like I think I remember talking to you like the week after. Like I think that week, like my Instagram really just started to, like I was getting hundreds of followers a day for a while, and like some like the I guess the 13-year-old on 13 going on 30. She started following me. I'm like, oh, a blue check found me, and she posted my stuff, and it blew up even further then. And like just people in different circles really started to find me through Instagram. And really, I'm just posting the TikTok content that I make for the most part. So that's kind of how. And then, and we did one more thing that Kim. I don't even think I told you. I don't even think I told you. The first live that we did, there was someone who was watching, who is like the daughter of someone who owns this early childhood education kind of group, and she puts on conferences, and her daughter found me and kind of the same thing, like sent her like my TikToks, and very people who've done a lot more than I have in the early education industry with PhDs, who owners of organizations are all kind of a part of this group and a part of this conference. And I was lucky enough as someone who's kind of newer in this space in terms of like actually, giving value out to the world rather than just my 9 schools and my company. I got put in with that group, and now I'm now I'm on a conference, an early childhood global conference. You can sign up for. I'll put it like in the comments here after this. And it's going to be seen by tens of thousands of people.
Yes.
So excited about that. And it's so interesting how it all this kind of just connected. And
well, I'm telling you, the nanny community, when you went live with Kim, because Kim, everybody loves Kim. When you went live with Kim, and everybody's like, who is this guy? What is he doing? Where you find him? And I was like, and I had seen your TikToks, and I was like, Kim's like, we're gonna have a show. Well, I have been pushing why am I calling his name? Not Sam. I don't know. He must be talking about me. I've been pushing Kimberly to do something, to go live with me. She said, I don't want to do it by myself. I said, you got this, girl. You got this. Come on now. You got this. So she finally went, and then she found you. And I was like, okay, so how's this going to work? But then the two of you will have this amazing chemistry. And it was supposed to be 1 hour, y'all. They were like, okay, well, no, you can't leave. Well, Instagram's gonna kick us out. Okay, how about we come back? They were on for like an hour and 45 minutes, and they were like, okay, we gotta go. That was the first show. Then Mr. Chazz blew up. Who's Mr. Chazz? Who's Mr. And I was like, okay. So I nicknamed them the Parenting Pros. I said, okay. As soon as the show was over, I said, I gotta have you two on the show. Well, we just went one time. No, I see what went on between the two of you and how people reacted to you and the charge that you have within each other. It's like the mom's perspective and the dad's perspective. And then somewhere y'all meet in the middle and say, okay, you know how kids go try to play mama against daddy? You ask mama something and mama say no, and they go ask daddy, and daddy say, wait a minute, what did your mama say? It's like, don't get me in trouble with your mama. What did your mama say? Yeah, y'all had that play off of each other, and I was like, this is going to be awesome. This is going to blow up. And then show number 2, okay, again, y'all, 1 hour. Okay, well, we'll have to come back. And then, Mr. Chazz, you and that heart. I still cracking up over that heart. And then the cello's like, oh, did you see that? Mr. Chazz gave me a heart. He went like this with his heart. Everybody started cracking up because of your heart. And then he brought it back. So you cannot do your show without that heart. It's supposed to be an emoji, I guess. And he's like, here's my heart. Because on Instagram, it's like, give me some hearts. And you punch the little heart button. So he brings his little heart button, his little heart cutout, and giving everybody hearts. Yeah. So it was hilarious. But I know it sounds gimmicky, but it worked. And I saw the chemistry between you all and the little gems that I was like, oh, look, listen to them little golden nuggets coming out through this. I was like, oh, and I was like, I am so glad that she did this. But then I was so glad that she did it with you because of the chemistry that you all have. She could have done it with anybody. But the way you all are together, it was hilarious, the stories that you told. But most people learn a lot when it's told in a funny story because they hang on to it. Oh, it was funny, but it was a learning experience.
Yeah.
And that's why I do so many jokes or laugh a lot because even though, I'm going to tell you the truth. And people say, you're so hilarious. I said, but as long as it gets the truth to you, as long as it gets the information that you need and you can remember it because it was an interesting story and it caught your attention, that's what we do with kids every day. We got to catch their attention in order to teach them. So nannies are the same way. We have this big imagination, and when you all come to the table and you all tell us your funny stories, but the truth behind all those funny stories, that's all I'm saying. It works, and it's hilarious. And now that I'm hearing that you've only been doing TikTok since the pandemic, I'm like, say what? Because I'm like 50,000. Do you know how long it takes people to get to 50,000?
Well, yeah. So. And TikTok is really, and TikTok's weird because I feel like their algorithm changes so often, but it's organic reach, and that's part of the reason why ones get on it. Its organic reach is, especially during the time was crazy, and they have a really good way of pushing out your content to the people that they're gonna feel are going to like relate to it and are like really going to hit. And it's interesting too because I look at it too. Like I'm very sure that it listens in on conversations. It probably has, honestly, y'all, it probably has your text messages because there's stuff I talk about and then I see a video and it's like, but it hits. It hits like it's so topical and relevant for that day. I can't tell you how many comments I've gotten that where it's like, the TikTok may have been like, it's okay when you blow up, it's okay to apologize to your kids, right? And that's like the main message. And then I get comments on it like, man, I need to hear this. I just blew up at my kids. I think that's TikTok.
Yeah.
And like, ooh, she needs this right now, and sends it to her For You page. And
yes. Because you keep it real. It's everyday real things. It's not superficial. Oh, your child is going through this stage of life, and no, it's in your face. I'm keeping it real. This is what happened. This is what you need to do, and go and correct it. And it's like, okay, and it's in 1 minute, and I'm like, okay. You just gave me a whole chapter in a book in 1 minute.
Yep. That's what I say. I tell them all the time. I'm like, when people ask us the difference, I'm like, I'm the more conservative one. I said, I'll give it to you straight, but in a conservative, nice little package. I was like, where Mr. Chazz will just be like, listen, this is what it is. And boom, 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 boom. And now So I'm like, yeah, he's the radical one, and I'm the more conservative, and together we just make it work.
Yeah.
And it's like good cop, bad cop, and you all do well with it. Okay, we have some comments from let's see,
Where are we?
Danielle Sadler says, I love this story. Good people always find good people. It's so great to see social media help to orchestrate greatness. Thank you,
100%.
Danielle. Um,
Danielle.
Kareem says, wow, sorry about your grandparents, Chazz.
Yeah.
Um, Joyce Torres says, what is the show about? Oh, did we not talk about that?
Maybe we
The
didn't.
show is about parenting advice, but is geared towards nannies and parents, whoever wants to watch. But it is about children, about raising children, about listening to children. Children don't just they're not just bad for no reason. They're acting out. There's something going on. There's an underlying reason, but
Right.
you have to take the time to get to know the child. Kimberly and I were having a conversation today about a
Yeah.
child, and I said, this is what's going on. They are missing their friends. They are new in a new environment. They are missing family members. They are You are new to them, and it's a new house. Everything is new, and the behaviors that they've had it before, you're correcting those behaviors, but it takes time to undo behaviors that they've had most of their lives. And of course it's going to be pushback, so you just have to be consistent, and you have to be patient, and you have to realize this child is hurting. And you think about, I always tell parents, think about the things that you've been through. For instance, teething. Parents are like, well, I don't want to give them any medicine. I said, okay, so when you have a toothache, when your toe hurts or your arm hurts or whatever, you don't put ice on it, or you don't do something to help soothe the pain. Well, yeah, and you want your child to go through that same thing?
Yeah.
I'm not telling you to give them medicine, but a teething ring or something to help ease the pain. I said, because if you've ever had a toothache, I said, it hurts more when you lay down and you are quiet. And you're talking to one who has had dental problems all of her life, because I had, a gum disease. And when it hurts, it hurts. That's why I can empathize with the kids. I know you're hurting, baby.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's about
Yeah.
it's about finding out what the underlying what is underlying why that child is acting out the way that he is,
Yes.
understanding their emotions, letting them get their feelings out, letting them use their words, understanding. I always tell my boys, you can talk to me,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
as long as we are respectful with one another, you can always talk to me. Now that they're older, I don't want to hear these talks. I'm like, la, 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 y'all married and grown. I ain't trying to hear it. La, 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 la. Yeah. So, Mama, I need to talk.
Talk to your wife now. Talk to your spouse.
Yes, talk to somebody else. Well, I need a moment. I need a woman's perspective. Yeah.
But you know what though? Like, when children, especially when they're very young, like they're learning how to be in a relationship with the people that they're close to, their parents, right? Their primary caregivers. And when you say that, yeah, behavior is communication. And so when a child is having a behavior that is frustrating you, or they're acting out, that, like you said, there's a reason behind it. Figure out what that behavior is communicating, what that need is, and fix the need. And it's not necessarily just the behavior, is just a symptom of the underlying need. Right. And so if you can identify the need, then and treat the need, then the symptoms go away. I did a TikTok, and the way that
of course you did.
It's like if you have a brain tumor, right, and you're having headaches as a result of the brain tumor, right? That headache is a symptom of the actual problem. Just trying to fix the behavior and not understanding or addressing the need is like taking Advil for the headache. that's being caused by the brain tumor. Yeah, maybe even it might go away for a moment or during that time, but it's gonna come back and it's gonna keep coming back because you haven't solved the actual problem.
And sometimes it comes
So
back with a
I'm really
vengeance.
big on that. And
Yeah, and then the other thing too is
right.
outside of
And
us dealing with, you know, really helping with treating the issue, a lot of our like things that we talk about on our show has to deal with how parents have to treat the children, because there's a lot of the issues come from there's a lack of respect for children, because we've always been taught a lot of times that children should not be seen or heard, stay in your place, don't get in grown folks conversation. And then you have a society that says, I don't know how these kids are going to make it in life because they're so dumb. Well, a lot of children they act a certain way when they get older because there's a whole generation that has been taught to just kind of be quiet. You know, your voice is not respected. And so you have to respect their voices because they are people. And part of our job is raising them and helping them mature is to learn to deal with their emotions. They have emotions that are just as big as ours, if not bigger, because they're younger and they don't know what to do with them. And so we have to help them figure out how to guide their emotions, how to be angry, but not to act a certain way on them.
Be destructive in your anger.
Not to be destructive. And so, you know, like one of the things that I say and I tell people all the time is, you know, I tell the story about the little boy that I nannied and how he would get upset. And one of the things that I would do for him is, because he was one of those, he didn't get upset often, but when he did, it was always like, and you would see his whole face get upset. I'm like, I see that you're upset. You're having a problem. I'll set the timer. I'll give you 2 minutes. You know, maybe I'll even give you 3. And he would go through this whole thing and I would tell him, I'm going to give you this timer. I'm going to set it. And during those 3 minutes, you can say whatever you want to me. You know, you can be angry, you can yell, you know, if you say a bad word, it won't even be held against you. Whatever you want to say. And usually it will come after, you know, me telling him, hey, you're on punishment because you did this. Or, hey, you don't get TV time because you did this. It would be something that I had done to make him angry. So I'm not going to say, oh, you can't be angry. You the one that did it. Go sit down somewhere. That's not the response, you know, but that is the response that most children get. So I had to give him that time because he had to figure out how to deal with his emotions. So I would say, okay, the timer's going, go. I'm so mad at you. You made me so sick. You did this. And now I'm not your friend anymore. And I hate you. And you have big head and you eat donuts all day and you like bananas. And like he would just say whatever came to his head. And that was fine. And I would time, okay, you still got 2 minutes. Go, go, go. And he would go. And after he got all of it out, he was, you know, he could calm down. I'm like, okay, so now that you got that out, are we good? You still got 15 seconds. You know, he's like, I'm done, you know. And after that, then we could actually have a conversation about what was the underlying issue, why you were so angry, and now we could go forward. Now you still are gonna miss out on your tablet time or your TV time or whatever it is. You still have some kind of punishment, but at least I'm helping him learn how to get that anger out. And so we do talk about a lot of things. Yes, the underlying issues that children have, but how do we help them cope with the issues that they have? And that is something that nannies need as well as parents. And that's why we are parent educators, because most people don't realize that their little person in their house has the same big emotions.
Yes.
They have.
They're just little people.
You have to teach them how to use those emotions, or they end up being bullies. They end up having, you know, emotional issues. They get labeled in school as being explosive. They break things. They become destructive. They beat up on their siblings. Those are things that can all be alleviated if you teach them. And the biggest thing that people need to understand is common sense is not common to all. Common sense is taught.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Okay, like it's taught. It's a taught habit to be able to interpret good decisions. Hey, and it starts with little things. Let's, my friend, he's always like, well, when I was younger, whatever my mother cooked, that's what we ate. We didn't ask any questions. We weren't allowed. But little decisions like that. Hey, do you want to have, nuggets or a hot dog? Do you want to have pasta or rice? Those little decisions teach them how to make bigger decisions. They realize that, hey, I get a choice in the matter. I'm not just being served something just because they want to give it to me. Like, I'm actually being heard. And those things are important to build character, to build confidence in them, to be able to make a decision, to be able to voice their opinion. Because I also say all the time, if you raise a kid that can never voice their opinion, and then they get out and they have, God forbid, someone touch them inappropriately, guess what? You've taught them that their opinion to an adult is invalid. So when that child gets molested, or that child has someone touch them and they don't say anything, and you say to them, well, you're old enough to know that was inappropriate. No one should touch you there. Why didn't you do something? Why didn't you say something? Because trust me, I've heard it. It's been said. Well, they don't say anything, and they won't, because you teach them at a young age that they shouldn't talk back to adults, that they don't have a voice, that their voice doesn't matter. And so for me, I know personally, my goal is to make sure that kids are heard, that they have a voice, that it's okay for them to say no to an adult sometimes. Just teach them to do it respectfully. Yeah. So those are things that have to be taught, and that's what we're here for. That's what we do in our show.
Well, the thing that really bugs me, and you mentioned it earlier, I have 3 boys. And, boys are taught, you got to be a man, you got to be tough, can't cry. Crying is a natural emotion. Crying releases all that pent up inside stuff. And to me, and this is just my personal preference, if you're a man and you can't cry, that kind of sets me back. I'm not saying crying all the time, but if you get upset and men cry. I've seen my dad cry very few times, but I've seen him cry. My husband cries. My boys cry. And it's okay. It doesn't make them any less of a man. It doesn't make them, if anything, it shows me that they have empathy, that they understand, they have a heart. And that's just me. And I don't know about anybody else. Mr. Chazz, you probably say more on this.
Would love to chime in. No, I think really it takes more strength to show the emotion, right? And it's really unfortunate because we are in a society where men are taught, conditioned not to suppress our emotions, to not show emotion and to suppress them. And I've been actually thinking about this and talking about it a lot because also a lot of my female coworkers are they're always talking about man, I gotta get home quick because my husband's with the kids and he can't really be with them for too long because it's just overwhelming for him. And part of the reason I think is because especially children around 3 or 4 and younger, especially 3 and younger, they're emotional beings. They're not the part of their brain that works with logic is not really developed yet. Is not really starting to develop. It is all the emotional part of their brain. So when you think about men who have suppressed, who suppress or used to suppressing and taught that that's what you're supposed to suppress your emotion, and now you're working with or trying to help an emotional child who is all emotion, you're not communicating on the same level,
Same level at all.
you have to talk to, their emotional brain with your emotional brain. And if you haven't worked out your emotional brain, that's going to be a lot more difficult for you to do or to understand or to even think about doing in the first place. What most, and it's not just men who do it, but what most people and adults, because we're so used to using logic, we will approach a situation where a child is very emotional and just right off the bat start using logic. And they're not ready to hear it yet. We have to talk to their emotional part of the brain for them to open up that logic part of the brain, and then they can start to hear it. And if you're a parent and you're doing it, or teacher, anyone really working with children, because I literally do this all day long when I'm when I'm in the classroom, especially with 3s and 4s, or doing it all day long. So I see it over and over with children, different temperament. You start to see their facial expression start to change.
You can tell it's coming.
Their facial expression will start to change, and that's kind of a window for you to be like, okay, they're getting past their emotions a little bit more. Maybe it's time to incorporate a little bit of logic in here, and then you can start to talk about the reasons why and what they should be doing instead. But just start off with validating their emotions and how they feel, and let them know that you hear them, that they make them feel heard. And like just that simple thing, if I don't give you any other strategies, if you don't go on my TikTok or my Instagram or anything, you're just here for that. And you start doing that, and you validate their emotions, say, I see you're upset because, and you just validate their emotions. It's life-changing.
It is.
And their life.
Yeah.
I am a infant toddler specialist, and that's the group I work with. The majority of my 40 some odd years of being in childcare, I've had like 0 to 3. And when that 2-year-old tantrum goes, and I'm like, it's okay for you to be angry. I understand you're mad, you're angry. Okay, when you get done and you get it all out, I'll be over here and we can talk. I don't try to, I walk away from the tantrum because they've got to learn how to figure that out on themselves. I'm not going to sit there. Okay, I need you to be quiet. You need to stop all that noise. And no. And back in the day, Mama would say, "You better stop all that noise. I'm gonna give you something to really cry about." So, you know what that means. Like,
she
tried to dry it up real quick. But with my kids, I know. They're angry. And as long as they're angry and falling down on the floor and kicking, they can't hear you. You can tell them, okay, we're going to do this. They do not hear a word you are saying because I am so tied up in my emotions. I'm so tied up in being mad at you because you won't let me climb up on the cabinets to use the drawers to be stairs to get up on the cabinets. I'm so mad at you because Mama lets me do it. She lets me climb into the drawers. No, not on my watch. Yep. I see the potential danger, and it's okay if you're angry. But then when we get done, and that's the time when I will go and pull out the special Play-Doh that we don't play with, our special toy that we don't play with all the time, to distract them. And they're like, because they can dry it up just like it's amazing how something what was that? Oh. And you hear paper rattling. I go to have it and they can hear paper. What you doing? So it's a matter of I let them get it all out, and then I just start rattling papers, or I bring a new toy. Oh, are you done? Yes. I said, well, what was wrong? I was mad because, and I teach them how to dialogue. Yes. And if they don't have the words for them, I used to teach a preschool class of 4-year-olds. I said, use your words. Well, he took the toy and he hit me. I said, well, how about I let him hit you? No. Well, why can't he hit you? Because it hurts. I said, oh, so don't you think when you hit him, it hurt? And the kids will look at each other and they were like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. but I know I don't want to be hit. I said, well, you think about that. I said, what do you think you need to do? I'm sorry. And then they best friends for the rest of the day. So
Yeah.
you have to, like you said, validate kids, let them know, use reverse psychology, whatever's in your arsenal to get them to understand and think logically and think for themselves. What if this happened to me? What if I let him do that to you? Oh no, you can't do that to me. But you just did it to him.
Exactly.
Isn't it fair? That's not fair. Yeah, it is fair because you did it. It makes it fair for him. Okay. And he's
He didn't
like,
get his
and they're
charger.
like, no. But you have to let them see in their logical brain why it's not fair, why it's
Yeah,
not right. Let them figure it out and let them come to the conclusion, I need to apologize. Now,
exactly.
we have a question
Yeah.
uh,
I was gonna say we have a question from Tasha.
from Tasha. She says, what about parents who have the high expectations of these kids? I have had some families who have babies that they are expecting kid to do so much and have not been out of the womb good. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I was looking at that question, and it does happen. I feel like, I mean, I because I work with parents on a regular basis, and when I go into their home as a nanny, usually, I let them know. Like I take positions that are like that because as a parent educator, I like to have people that are new or that think that way so that I can help them. So I would say if as a nanny, if you understand child development, maybe get something that says this is the stages and this is where the children should be. If your
Yes.
child is above that stage, they're golden and they're great. But if they're not, it's okay. Just work to what they should be doing, and let them develop on their own. I think it's very important as nannies for us to understand child development because most parents don't. They don't know where their child should be. They look online. Google is their university.
Dr.
They
Google.
they yeah, they Dr. Google everything. They talk to their friends. Their friends are telling them what their kid did at 3 months, and then they're sitting around like, my baby is just spitting. Like, well, you know, um, you shouldn't have those high expectations. But what you should be doing is making sure that you're constantly speaking to them, that you're constantly, maybe if it's even a little bit of baby sign language. Most children will, they may not sign back until later on when they can, but if you're constantly speaking to them and they will understand. I had a baby, she didn't talk that much, she didn't talk at all, but I taught her sign, and most of the time we would go places and they're like, she barely has to do anything because you understand everything that she's saying. And when I left that job, I remember a family member took over the position and would babysit for them once in a while. And she said, she was like, she didn't talk that much when you were there, but when you left, everything that you taught her, she talks all the time. She's retained everything. She knows her numbers. She knows her colors. She knows, like, she knew everything that I had taught her. I think that people put all these expectations on babies and infants and children way before they should. Let your child be a child and teach them the common sense cores. Like, teach them the cores and they will know. Like, I was just talking to Angela today. I talk to my 2.5-year-old all the time. She surprises me sometimes with the stuff that she repeats when she's around other people. We
It's
went somewhere
hilarious.
yesterday. Yeah, we went somewhere. Yes, we were somewhere yesterday. She was with my sister yesterday, and I went to pick her up. And they gave her an ice pop. And after they gave her the ice pop, she turns around and she was like, "Thank you very much." And I was just like, "Thank you very much." Now all day, Angela hear me on the phone. What do you say? What do you say? Well, what did you say? Literally all day. I can give her something and she'll just take it and walk away. I'm like, well, what do you say? Oh, thank you. She wants something. I want a banana. Well, how do you ask?
Oh, thank you.
Please, But when she goes out, she pleases and thank you and no thank you to death. And I'm like, well, where is that at home? So I think for the most part, Tasha, you just tell people don't have these high expectations. Just teach them what you want them to know. Be repetitive, and they will pick up, and they will eventually start to do it. But you can't expect them to do something that just because you want them to do it, especially if you're not teaching it and you're not showing it, and you're not. They're gonna mimic whatever you do.
Yeah.
So if you don't want them to do it, then don't do it in front of them. If you don't want them, you know, I remember I would always say, "Oh, I play certain music, and when she hits a certain age, I'll stop playing it." Because she doesn't know it. She's not going to pick up on it, because it would have some language that was a little iffy. One day, I got in the car, and my Spotify playlist came on, and she was like, "Boot up, boot up." She knew it was something else came on. She knew every single lyric. I said, when did she learn it? Because I hadn't listened to that playlist in like 4 or 5 months. So all that time that I thought, oh, she's only 18 months, she's not picking it up. She was like, oh, wait a minute, mommy playing my songs that I haven't heard in a couple of weeks. She knew every single word.
She's like,
I don't play it anymore.
Yeah, she getting down in the back seat, and you just didn't know.
I had no idea. So
it's like, that's my jam.
Yeah, I mean, she knew every single word. I think one of them was like J. Cole or something, and J. Cole is not, he's saying some stuff, and I'm like, why my baby know the whole? I said, okay, no more. It's back to nursery rhymes and the wheels on the bus.
I got that little CD. I got my Apple Play. Okay, where the kids music, ding, and it's playing in the background.
Okay.
But to piggyback on what you were saying, I work with a lot of twins, and it's hard for parents not to compare one twin to another. Well, she's doing that, and she's not doing that. I said, give them time. I said, twins flip flop. I said, what she's doing today, she'll be doing next week, and what she's doing today, she'll be doing next week. I said they flip flop. I said your child is an individual, and the books are a guideline. They are not the gospel truth.
Yep.
Your child will grow and develop according to how much you're working with them. They will grow and develop according to their own plan. That they come into this world when they want to. Guess what? They're going to grow and develop when they want to. I'm not going to roll over. And understand one thing. Your child's crib is where it's their safe place. They learn how to pull up. They learn how to roll over. They learn how to sit up. They learn how to crawl. You may not see it in the middle of the night when they wake up because they in the crib and you in your bed. Mm-hmm. But their crib is the safe place. As a newborn care specialist, I watching the monitor, I hear a noise and it beats, and I'm looking. When did he learn how to get up on all fours? And they just rocking back and forth like, okay, I'm gonna take off at any minute now. And during the day, no signs of any of that. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, they take off crawling, and Mama's like, "Oh my gosh, he crawled today." Mm-hmm. I've been waiting on you to find that out because I see it in the middle of the night. Yeah. I see the in the cribs when they're learning how to pull up and learning how to stand up, and I see all these different things, and they kind of turning and turning, and all of a sudden, I put you at this end of the crib, and here it is 3 hours later, and you halfway middle to the other side of the crib. When did you move? They kick their little feet and they move little inches, little bit by little bits, and they become mobile. And it happens if what seems like overnight, but they are practicing. Wow. So let your child practice. Give them opportunities to practice. No, they don't like tummy time. They hate it. But guess what? Once they get used to holding their head up, once they realize, hey, I don't have to look at the floor all the time. I can see you. I can at least see your feet.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I always tell parents, look, let your child work with your child. And I can always, when I go in, child like 7, 8 months, I can always tell a child who has been worked with and a child who has been held. There's a big difference because some of the things that you were supposed to be doing at 6 months, you're way back here at 3 months. Now that is a problem.
We say give them opportunities to practice. Like that is my thing with all ages, and I think that sometimes with infants, we don't necessarily see what they're doing as practice, right? We don't necessarily see that tummy time as practice, or when they are, when they're pulling up, or even I'll say like the toddlers and 2-year-olds, when they're climbing on things, like that's good for their development too. They need to climb on things. That's important. And so how can we provide opportunities, create an environment for that infant, for that toddler, for that 3-year-old, for that whatever age, where they do feel safe enough to continuously practice. And I always hear, I have the conferences with the parents and with the teachers too about the expectations. My child should be doing this, especially when they're getting closer to kindergarten. They have all these, expectations. Well, my child's going to kindergarten. They should know 26, letters, and they should know their numbers, and this, like, there's these expectations. And I think having the conversation, and this may even go into that other conversation that we were having about just kind of the interview process, and you really setting expectations and making sure that you're both kind of aligned, and just knowing that like children are going to do things when they're ready. And the best that we can do is to provide an environment and opportunities for them to continuously practice over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And just because they're that age, doesn't mean they're going to, there's an age and then there's developmental stages. They're not always aligned. Not every child's going to be on the same, like you said, there are guidelines, right? There are kind of things to work towards, but right. It doesn't mean that something's wrong with your child if they're not doing it in that month. Now, but what I will say, if they're like a whole year behind, then I would, then that's when I would start to ask questions and, talk to your pediatrician. There's different assessments that they can take. At my school, we use ASQ. Well, in Virginia, I know we use the ASQ.
ASQ, yeah.
Yeah,
in Florida too.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's nationwide, but I didn't want to. And it's supposed to be the most reliable assessment there is out there right now. It's supposed to be an 80% reliability rate, which is high on where your child is at in their stage of development, and it will tell you if you should be, if there's reason for, if completely developmentally like normal on target. A reason for concern, but you should probably work on these skills. And hey, there's, it's in the Black area. You really do. There are some reasons for concern. You should probably, talk to your pediatrician. Maybe, let's be proactive about it. But, it's not a lot of times those like guidelines, those specific things that you see that, if you're a month or 2 months or 3 months off, just provide them more opportunities, create more of an environment. If it's something speech related, talk to them more. Sign language helps, but use the word with the sign language. So
yes.
If it's something physical, then do a bunch of physical things. And even, by the way, to do language and physical activity. Just like, you said your child is listening to the music, like people, I'm not even gonna say children, but people love music. It inspires us to move, and it helps them learn language, right? And new words, and we'll start to hear them repeat words. Like you said, Kim, no matter what those words are.
They have no clue what they mean, but I know I like that beat, and that word, wait for it. And they come in at the right time, and you're like, okay, and you don't think that this child is rhythmic, has that kind of rhythm, and they're like,
ready to jump in. I mean, I was like,
they will jump in, and they know it. But music is a universal language, and it also it like you said, it helps with language acquisition and repetition, repetition, repetition. I don't care how many times you have to read that book. Five Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed, because I remember I can read it, I can sing it, I can act
Do
it
it,
out.
dance it,
Listen.
pop it.
All my
After a
kids,
while, you
I,
don't
I
even
don't know
have
how
to
I get
read
them
it. You
hooked on
know
Five
it.
Little Monkeys. But
Yeah.
they love the Five Little Monkeys jump.
Yeah.
Then they got Five Little Monkeys that wash the car, make a birthday cake. We had the whole series of Five Little Monkeys. I promise you. And if I would read, and this is how you know children are paying attention, because I would deliberately read a line and add another word. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
Gigi. No, Gigi.
Cover.
No, 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 no. I said, that's not how it's, I just read it. No, no, no. It's not that. I said, well, what does it say? And they would take their finger, like they're reading, and go and just talk along and say the words and then add their own little words to the end of it. I said,
Yep.
oh, is that how it goes? Yes, Gigi. Yes, that's how you read it. So
You did it wrong.
repetition, you are teaching children how to language acquisition, how it how the subject and the verb, which way they how they blah, 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 how they come together to make a complete sentence. That's what I'm trying to say. But
Mhm.
you have to let children, like I said, practice and give them the safe environment to practice in.
Yeah.
And don't get mad because they don't roll over, or don't get mad because they're not doing something that you expect them to do. And
Mhm.
when you are a parent, life is not about you anymore. Life is about your child now. And you can't be lazy and expect this child to produce whatever it is you want them to do. If you don't work with your child and you don't give them opportunities and talk to them and get down on the floor and play with them sometimes, I'm not saying that all the time, because independent play is important too. But if you don't give your child opportunities, and that means not leaving them alone, not leaving them by themselves, give them opportunities to do things, then your child's not going to be up here where you want them to be. They're going they're going to be lazy. What you show
Yep.
them is what they're going to
That's
do.
what they're gonna do. And I will add too, while we're talking about this subject, just really quick, when you're talking about development, since we've gone on to that subject, when you're talking about child development, remember that every child is their own individual,
Yes.
and
That's
outside of them being their own individual and learning on their own time, every child has their own, I don't know how to put it, but every child has their own style. So it's, they learn a certain way, they learn at their own pace, and they learn it on their own style. Some children like to watch, and then they just, like, I've seen children not say a word, and then they hit 13 months and they can speak whole sentences.
Mhm.
They just don't say anything, but they're not, it doesn't mean that they're not listening and they're not learning. So you have to remember that. And you also have to remember that any type of trauma, any type of change, any type of new something that happens to a child causes a delay. I tell parents all the time, if you get a nanny, plan on keeping that nanny for at least 2 or 3 years, because the more times you change a nanny, the more times you change, like you changed your house, you changed your nanny, you bought a dog, you keep adding stuff, you take away that child's security, which makes them slower in development. So be like all the way across, you have to remember that everything that they have and everything that they're seeing is part of their development. So if you
Right.
have a child that you're nannying, and you say, okay, well, this child was doing this and doing this and doing this with the NCS specialist. So the NCS person, they come, they've done their job, they're sleeping through the night, but they didn't, they
You
had
messed that up.
yeah, they had grandma during the day, and now grandma is going back to work, or grandma left and went back home, and you brought in a nanny at month 4. Well, guess what? That child doesn't know the nanny. That child knows the NCS person and the grandma that just left. So now they're having to reattach to someone new. Of course, they're not going to be doing the same things. They
Exactly.
may have some issues with sleeping. They'll hit that 4 month mark where they're not sleeping through the night again or something like that. It's your job to make sure that you keep the schedule, that you stay on point, and that you are verbal and talk them through it. It's okay to let a 4 month old or a 5 month old, a 6 month old know that they're okay. You're okay. You're in a safe place. Everyone here loves you. You can go ahead and encourage them to crawl. You can crawl whenever you want. Like, it's okay to make comments like that to a small person, because even though you don't think that they understand, they do. So if you have a kid that is, kind of digressing or not moving forward, or they seem stuck, it could just be that there's some changes that have happened. And if those changes happen, you need to be aware of them and pay attention. Angela always says she writes down everything. Write down everything. I keep a log of all of my kids up until, I want to say, usually up until at least I feel comfortable, but I would say at least until 9 months, 9 or 10 months. I keep a log of everything they do. Everything they do. Everything. I mean, from
You can write it in the apps too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I keep a log of everything, because those things, they come up later. If you don't know that a child has acid reflux, but you're just like, oh, well, that's normal that they burp a little bit and throw up a little bit every time they eat. And then you talk to somebody and they're like, well, my kid doesn't do that. Okay, well, how long has your kid been doing that? And that's what happens. People start talking. They start talking and realizing what they thought was normal is really not normal for everyone. And then they start asking these questions and they can't remember when. Well, if you kept a log, you would actually know. They started doing this at 3 months when mom stopped breastfeeding and went back to work. And now they're on, formula mixed with the breast milk. Well, maybe the formula has some kind of something in it that doesn't work for them,
Or the formula was not made right, because formula needs to have hot water to kill the bacteria. Most people don't know formula is made with bacteria in it, and it has to be not cooked. It has to be made with hot water to kill the bacteria. And that bacteria, if you let that baby drink that, you just make it out of room temperature water, yes, the likelihood of your baby having reflux goes up, because you didn't kill that bacteria.
See?
Now, I've done the research on that, because I've had too many babies up under my belt. I'm just saying. So I'm not a doctor. Let me say this. I am not a doctor, but I do observations, and I do know after 38 sets of twins, I know a little something. That's all I'm saying.
And so
I'm sorry,
Kim. That's why you have your NCS person. You have me who does NCS, and my specialty is toddlers, and then I kind of skip around, but I've done all the way up to high school. And you have Mr. Chazz, who he has his specialty is, I think, what, toddlers to 7 is his thing.
So, I mean, I worked as a teacher, was mainly for when I was still in the classroom every day and had my own classroom. I worked with 3s all the way up to 12s. I did a Montessori class it was a mixed age group from 3s to 5s. And then I did a mixed age group from 5 to 12 during like summertime and during other times too. But I have a question that I'd like to pose.
Sorry.
I would like to pose.
Kareem said you're not a doctor, but you are a nanny.
And that's like, you really, so I do a lot of research too. There's also like the real life experiences that I can speak to of just going over and over, and you see so many kids over and over in like the same thing, like you start to notice patterns, right?
Right.
And I want to ask kind of a question. Want to go kind of deep right now before, I know we've already been on here for a while and I'll probably have to get off somewhat soonish, but I want to pose this question. We talked about how like parents, will talk and they'll compare, their children. And this is not just an infancy or toddler. This is something I've noticed throughout life, throughout, a child's life. The parents have a tendency to compare children with with other families. And, parents have a tendency to push their children to do certain things that they feel are good for the children, that comes from a place of, from what I've observed, of maybe things that they didn't have in their life. So like, maybe if the parent grew up without having, a lot of money, or they grew up poor, they want to push their children to be, a lawyer or a doctor because, that's a status symbol of power and money. And I never had that growing up, and it was really hard for me. So I want that for you. And I see that, while I think, parents have good intentions, it sometimes goes against how the children feel, or disregards, it's a better word, disregards how a child feels and their wants and their needs and their interests and, maybe what they want to do. And what are your thoughts on that? Do you like disagree with me, or do you guys see the same thing? You think I'm totally off base? I want to know what your opinions are.
Go ahead, Kimberly, your guess.
Look at Angela like, I raised some boys. Let me tell you whatever.
I can go in, okay? I can go in, but I'm gonna be nice, and I'm gonna let my guests go first.
Thank you. I think that is a normal parenting thing. I think for like, even with my oldest daughter, I would always tell her that there were three things that that I expect from her. But I would say, I expect you to graduate from high school. I expect you to get out of high school without having a baby. I expect I expect you to get further than I did. And that's as far as I would take it. But I didn't tell her how. I didn't feel like that was my job. My job was to help her become a person that would strive to be the best that she could be. And I feel like as a parent, you have to, like Angela said, once you have a child, your life is not about you. Your life is about them, and helping them become respectful young adults that turn into responsible adults. My job is not to keep my 2-year-old a 2-year-old forever and make her so dumb that she's like clueless to life. My job is to make sure that if I die tomorrow, that she knows how to survive. Like, you look at my kid, she will try and put her shoes on. I don't try and put them on for her. If she's trying, I let her. If she tells me she's hungry, most likely she's hungry, because I've taught her to be able to speak for herself. You don't find that everywhere. You find that people will say, this is what I want you to be. This is what I want you. Like, they push what they want on their kids, and then they silence their voice. And then you have children that grow up to be teenagers that hate their parents because they have these really high expectations, or because they've never listened to them. And I think the only way to really combat that is to do what we're doing, which is teaching people to respect their children, respect that they are individuals, respect that they have a voice, and allow them to be heard. Like, allow them to figure out what it is in life they like. Watch them, observe them. If they are the type of kid that for some reason, loves to tinker with toys and tinker with things and fix things and break things and then fix them again, well, most likely you can put them in a STEM school. You know what I mean? Because that's the kind of stuff that they like. If they go toward something else, a different toy that is, some kids, they don't like that. Let me play with stuff and fix it. Some kids actually like to play with dolls. They like to dress them. They like to play pretend and make pretend that they're a doctor. And then they may go toward the humanities. They may be just a people person. They like people. They go up to them. They hug them all the time. Then you should put them in sports. You should put them in situations where they'll be around other people so they can learn better social skills and learn how to communicate better. There are so many things that you can do to be a better parent and push your kid toward what they actually want to do. And then say, well, if you like this, then maybe you'll like this, and this will produce you to have more power and respect and money. Every industry has something that will give them the status. So if all you care about is status and them being respected and them having power, figure out what they like first, because if they like it, they'll go after it way more than you just pushing them to be somebody that they don't want to be, to do something that they don't like. Even thinking about you, Mr. Chazz, like when we talked and you were like, I never really realized that, I could make the money and the life that I want in this industry until I stepped out and did it. And then I met you and you were like, oh, well, this person makes this much and this person brings in this much. And it's like, I think after we had that conversation, I just saw you going hard. It was like, I'm going for it. Everything.
Yeah, I got this now.
And I'm like, yeah, because when you have a passion for it, you'll figure out and you'll make a lane for yourself, which is what we've done. I look at all of the other parent educators that are out there, and a majority of the parent educators, I think me and Angela were talking about it, a majority of the parent educators that are out there, they don't look like us. Let's just put it that way. They don't look like us. They are, their degree is mostly in psychology or like a therapist degree. They usually do family practice. Like, we're the opposite. We're coming from working with children and being in around children all the time and talking from a child's perspective and looking at it from a child development perspective, and then doing the parent educating around what the child needs, not the opposite way. And I think that's where we have our special connection, is because we understand children outside of understanding adults.
Right.
So
we go the opposite direction. We go through the kids. We understand and can feel, because you have to have a heart for this business. You cannot be I take that back. You can be a nanny, but to be an awesome, well-connected, and the heart of a nanny, it takes special people to do that.
Yeah.
My parents tell me, thank you for helping us to sleep. Thank you for helping us, because I don't sleep train children. They think I sleep train their children. I don't sleep train the children. I have to sleep train the adult, because I have to recondition your mind to not go in there every time the child goes, no, that's not crying. That's self-soothing. That's self-adjusting, self-regulating. Let them regulate. Give them 30 seconds. That loud cry that was going on, all of a sudden it ends. Guess what? They self-soothe. They got over it, and they're back to sleep. Whereas if you go in there and you stick in a pacifier, you're disturbing the whole process. So you have to go in at a different angle and teach parents, this is what you need to do for your child. Your child is more than capable of learning how to do this for themselves. I need you to give them the space to let them do it. Okay, so after 1 minute, you go in. Then you add, it depends on how young the baby is. And I add certain amount of time. Don't go back in there. By the time you get to the third time, they should be passed out. And they're like, oh my God, it worked. Oh my God. Yes, it worked, because You gave them the opportunity to do what they can do naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sleep train, baby. I sleep train the parents, and it's hard for them to see. Oh, you got my babies. No, I got you to leave them alone. And I tell you, now you're gonna hear some whining. You're gonna hear a little bit of crying. I said, but I'm not gonna let you. I've never known a child to die from crying.
Exactly.
And I am not gonna let your child cry all night. I said, but there is a process that needs to happen so your child can learn to self-soothe. And if you get to a certain point and you don't let that child self-soothe, then you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
So and to get to your point, Chazz, about parents wanting their kids to they push them towards things. I've always told my boys, I want you to be a productive citizen. I don't care if you're a ditch digger. I don't care if you're a veterinarian. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're the president. I want you to be a productive citizen. And that's what I told them. And everything that I have done to and still within them is for them to become a productive citizen. Now, my middle son, who has allergies out the yin yang, he's like, I want to be. He wanted to be a large animal vet. Now I'm thinking to myself, boy, you are allergic to the wind blowing. How in the way are you gonna deal with animals? How in the way you gonna do this? But I never told him you can't be a vet. You're allergic to animals. You're allergic to this. I never told him that. He figured it out on his own. And now he is a science teacher.
Yeah.
But I let him figure out hello, my physical limitations are not going to allow me to do this. So, but I never told him you cannot be a vet. I base what I tell my children because I've heard it before myself. You can't do that because you have an eye injury. You can't do that because you have degenerative scoliosis. You can't do that because you're black. You can't do this because you're too light. You can't do this because you're too dark. You can't. I have heard you can't so many times that it put the determination within me. Oh, okay, watch me.
Right.
And that's the determination I have put within my children. You can go after and do whatever you want to do. You got to put in the work. You got to be willing to do it. You got to have a passion for it. But you can do whatever you want to do. I saw my youngest son who has dyslexia and was in special education from like 6th grade to like 9th grade. And I watched him beat on the desk because that's the way he learned, to music, to beats. That's how he learned. And my son has 3 degrees. The doctor told me, oh, he gonna be at your table the whole rest of his life. Because he can't learn, he can't. He has an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, and a master's degree. And he is teaching at a college. Don't tell me what they can't do. Okay, I'm preaching now.
You want to end it on that note because
Look, Angela
yes,
on the soapbox.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, thank you all for joining me tonight.
It was great, y'all.
Yeah.
I tell you, when the 3 of us get together, we just
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
goes.
We do have a podcast coming up, the 3 of us. So we'll have to, listen. We'll definitely make an announcement when it's coming out. I know Chazz and I are every other, because I know you're going to ask me. That's what I'm telling you now. Chazz and I are every other week on Instagram TV on Fridays at 7:30 every other week.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be this Friday. Chazz has some prior things that he needs to do, but Angela is joining me.
Yeah.
She's going to be my feature since Chazz is not here. So we're going to talk about some things.
Do some things.
We're going to talk about some things. So definitely join us Friday on Nanny Kim on the Go on my Instagram page. and we'll be there Friday at 7:30
Eastern Standard Time.
Standard Time. Let me make sure I say that because we have people from Europe
all over the world.
They logging in. They stay up late at midnight. They come on like, we here for y'all, Mr. Chazz.
We took a nap and now we're here.
I'm like, oh, y'all good.
Yeah, especially you 6 hours ahead of us.
Right. And our shows end up being 2 hours because we always get great feedback and everybody will ask questions, just like tonight. So yeah, I mean, definitely join us, come and see us, and Chella. Thank you. So yeah, definitely come and see us, and pop in, see the show, and if you have questions, send us questions because we'll answer them when we go live. That's what we're there for, and we definitely want to help. And I'm all about building the bridge between nannies and parents, and so a lot of our stuff coincides. We raising kids and we do it together. So definitely check us out. We're not on Facebook. We're on Instagram Live. Just so you know, we're on Instagram Live.
Instagram Live.
Next
Trust
time,
me, it is worth going to sign up and get you an Instagram account. Oh, he's got a heart.
next time, I will have you.
Okay. See, I can't. Here we go. This is mine.
A lot better, probably.
This week we have Kimberly and Crystal, the Nanny Broker Crawford, on U.S. Nanny Association tomorrow night, Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the U.S. Nanny Association Facebook page. And on Thursday, I asked the nanny and Nanny Shards, better known as, Shada Lambert, better known as Nanny Shards. We have the nanny hookup at 3 p.m. Central Time. That's 9 p.m. Was it GMT? Yeah, General Mountain Time. Because she is in the UK. We come together and we do the nanny hookup on Thursdays. But first, let me go back to Wednesday. On Wednesday on Instagram, yes, Instagram at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Nanny Chella and Crystal have what they like to call the cookout. And if you've never been to the cookout, trust me, it is so much fun. It is so much laughter. It's so much truth. And you learn a lot while you're there. So come to the cookout on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. And be sure you check because they switch pages. Sometimes it's Nanny Chella. Sometimes it's Crystal, the nanny broker. So make sure you find out who's going live on what page. Thursday evenings, I have a nanny mentoring program on Thursdays at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Check it out on Ask the Nanny Facebook page. Sign up. I'm there for you. And like Kimberly said, this Friday, I will be joining her on, it'll be the Angela in Kim Way instead of the chat.
All about it. Do it.
So I'll be filling in, and I'll be filling in. That's it. Chazz will be back the next time. I'm just filling in.
All just a plan to get you on the show.
Oh, was it now? These are three musketeers now. But there,
guys, I know since we're doing, guys, download TikTok. Don't get afraid. It's not for old people. It's for everyone. I'm telling you. And just scroll on it for a week. Give the algorithm time to understand and learn and hear you and your emotions. And it will, I'm telling you, it will feed you so much great and amazing content. TikTok, y'all. Make the move.
Yes.
I don't care how old you are.
Follow Kimberly, Nanny Kim on the go. Follow Mr. Chazz on Facebook and on Instagram and on TikTok. And Kimberly is on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and visit her website, all of that good stuff. please show them some love. Go by their pages, like their information, like their posts. And if you have found this video informative and you like this video, stop by Ask the Nanny, leave us a review, like our page, like the post. I am on Instagram at ask.the.nanny. I am on Twitter at _T_nanny. You can visit my website at atnanny.com. We're here for y'all. Woo! Stretch it out. Now, it is now 10 o'clock and we're going to get off of here. So you all have a great night. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do you have a YouTube channel, Mr. Chazz?
No, but download. I'm on all the new social media that's gonna Get Vocal will probably stream to YouTube. So it's coming. It's on its way.
Okay. Miss Kimberly, do you have a YouTube page?
I just started one. So I'm gonna be. I haven't really put it out there. I did just start one, and I have a couple of things coming up. I will be speaking at a ECE conference, and that will be August 4th. And I have a couple of seminars. But the ECE conference is going to be at Ashford University, so they're online school. So I will be there, and so I will be posting that on my YouTube page. And then I will also be speaking at the U.S. Nanny Association conference. So I'll be doing a class. I'll be doing two. I'll be speaking on a panel, and I will be doing working with different cultures. So working in homes with different people from different cultures and stuff. So we'll be doing that, and then I'll also be doing a foster care class for anyone that's interested in foster care or thinking about doing respite, any questions, any kind of things like that. I will be doing that. So that's in September for the U.S. Nanny Association conference. So if you have not signed up, the early bird special will be ending. When is the early bird?
July 1st. I was just about to talk about that. That was going to be my point.
Listen, we have, as a director, Angela is a director too, we have so many good speakers. It's a virtual conference. You literally,
and it's for a week long.
It's a week long. You literally get a certificate as soon as you're done with whatever class. So if there's 40 speakers and you only want to take 20, you get 20 certificates, 20 hours worth of education. And right now it's 125. 125. So I mean, if you have to figure it out, I would say do it. It's going to be well worth it. But go on usnanny.org and look at some of the speakers that we have and some of the titles that they'll be talking about, because I'm sure the topics are for everyone. I'm over family services, so I have people that are going to be teaching, and they're going to be talking about family stuff. Crystal Crawford is teaching on when trauma affects the family, and that's going to be amazing. Just what to do, to make sure you keep your sanity as a nanny and as a parent, and how to help the kids through trauma. So I think some of the things are just, you're not going to find them everywhere. Even if you take different courses, you're not going to find some of these courses in one place. So if you've been thinking about it, definitely do it.
Go now. Okay, so I got one last thing to say about the conference. Okay, I've been reading comments about, oh, I gotta work that week and I gotta do this and I gotta do that. Okay, so let me say this. If you go to any conference, nanny or otherwise, you go to any conference, in those 2 or 3 days, that weekend, you're gonna attend like 7, maybe 8 seminars, conference, meetings. You're going to go to 8 different classes, at least, probably 12 at the most, 12. And you paying anywhere from $175 to maybe $200-300, somewhere up to $500 for a ticket. That's just for the ticket. That's
not
not for you traveling to get there. That's not for the hotel room. That's not for the meals. That's not for all the vendors that you're going to see around there and you grabbing stuff off of tables and you spending $300 or $400 on, oh, I got to take this back to so-and-so. I got to take that back to so-and-so. You get to stay in the comforts of your home, pop your popcorn, while you're cooking, you watching and you listening in the comfort of your home for $125. A whole week. You get to choose. You don't have to worry about, oh, this is happening and that's happening at the same time. Man, I can't attend both of them. Guess what? You get to watch both of them at home.
That can be a Netflix.
There is a value, and I heard people read some places with several different groups. Well, how come they can't have it longer? How come we can't see it afterwards? If you go to a conference, do you think they're gonna wait on you? Okay, well, can we see this again next week? No, they're not gonna say that. You don't say that at a regular conference. Can we see this again next week? No, it's for a whole week. It's over 40 speakers.
Wow.
Over a whole week.
That's a lot.
And you get to watch them for $125. It's on demand. So you can come in at 5:15. Click up at the conference at 5 o'clock. If you missed it, hey, we halfway done and you missed it. This one, you can come in, click on the TV. Okay, and you listen to the whole thing on your terms. So while we would like to accommodate everybody, this is a whole week. This is $125. You will have spent $1,500 going to one conference. If you add all the stuff up that you got to do and buy and whatever, and then shop and, because, we love to shop wherever we go and sightseeing and doing things outside of, girl, let's go here. Oh, yeah, we're going to go there. You spend $50 before you know it.
This is
on
your
one thing.
Netflix and chill week while you get education.
While you get educated.
You're building your education. You're building your portfolio, as Anthony says, your nanny portfolio.
Your nanny portfolio, building your knowledge, building your portfolio, building your cha-ching. Because the more you know, the more value you add to yourself.
Yep.
Know your worth. And then add tax. And good night.
My God.
Thanks for joining us. I can't believe we went 2 hours. See, that I can. Y'all.
Just see.
The two of y'all all the time.
I can believe